It is Sunday evening, and that means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. This is going to be episode 60 coming your way. We got a lot to talk about. Auburn potpourri, some Auburn football schedule for 2024, and a look back at the year that was 2023 for all things Auburn. All that's coming up right here, right now. War Eagle Auburn family and War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, whether you are watching on YouTube, on Facebook, all the different places, avenues, venues, times, multiverses that you can get this content. Thank you for joining us. My name's Kyle. That's Austin. And welcome to the show. Austin, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man? War Eagle to you, War Eagle to our viewers and listeners. Happy to be back after another week. This is going to be it for 2023, right, Kyle?
That'll do it, sir. We have Christmas Eve this time next week. We have New Year's Eve a week after that. Don't think anybody's going to really be amped up to, pay attention to us on New Year's Eve. So we're going to just take our 2-week hiatus from this point. That doesn't mean there's not going to be E2C Network content. There's going to be plenty of that. But the Auburn Experience show, the flagship show of E2C Network, will take a 2-week break from this point. A little housekeeping right at the top. Also housekeeping. If you see me flashing on screen right now, like it looks like, let me know if you're in the chat watching live, because
I've yet to see it.
I'm seeing something that Austin's not seeing, and it's highly likely that I've just gone insane with the year I've had. So that's probable too. So let me know if I've gone insane and there's no flashing, but I can see it on my screen actually right now. So you're probably going to see me staring at it the entire night, like off in the corner here, just kind of getting mad at it. And that's part of the reason we started a little bit late tonight. We had some schedule stuff and technical difficulties like this that literally ran us aground trying to get started. So we thank everybody for your patience. Nothing like technical difficulties to say goodbye to 2023, right, Austin?
Oh, that's the truth. I'm ready for 2024. 2023 has been a good one and a hectic one, but I think we're ready to move on.
Yes, we are. It's been a year of transition for a lot of Auburn sports. We're going to talk about that in the show tonight as we kind of wound things down for the year. And Angela says I look all right. So thank you for confirming that. Maybe it's just me going insane, which I said was highly probable with the way everything's going right now. But all of that to be said, we've got a few minutes before we want to get started with the show. So if anybody's got any comments or questions, especially for Austin, since he'll have to cut out right after the end of the show to go off and do what he needs to do, let us know. We'd love to answer or expound upon anything. We'll save most of our commentary on some very big topics for later in the show. War Eagle, Devin, glad you are here.
Welcome back.
Yes, yeah. So is later good for you now, Devin? Is that what it is? Are you just too busy at the time we normally go live? I feel like we see you pretty often. I mean, don't we, Austin? Don't we see her?
It's been a couple weeks,
okay,
but it's I think her being as active as she normally is. But I'm glad to see her there.
Shameless plug for Austin being the father of 2 little twins. And there's your question.
The boys are doing well. We are geared up for Christmas in just over a week. It is going to be fun for them. We had a little family Christmas this weekend out of town, and they're already just thriving in it. So they're doing great. They're healthy, and things are going well. They're all starting to be on the move, which changes everything.
I'm jealous because you actually get to spend Christmas in Auburn. So
I will. This is the first year I've ever spent Christmas in Auburn. We will not be anywhere else but our own house. So we're pretty excited about that.
It's funny you say that. This is the first year that we will spend Christmas in our own home too. Actually, even before we owned this house, we were in an apartment for 2 years here outside of Atlanta. And I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've ever spent Christmas at our house.
Yeah.
So
same.
It's a weird feeling,
It is. I'm very excited for it. That's something I've been kind of wanting for a while, and now that I have the leverage of children, the grandparents will be coming to me.
Well, we not all of us have that leverage. We just get lucky this year to be able to spend it here, and it's just the way everything's worked out with timing and stuff like that, and how having Christmas Eve on a Sunday and Christmas
Mhm.
Day on a Monday is just one of those weird years out there. Drip Edits is excited about that win, the Auburn versus USC win. We will be talking about that a little bit in the show. It won't be one of our major topics, but obviously nice to see that, just because you're royalty doesn't mean that you're going to get wins. I would say I was not as impressed with USC as I thought I might be, Austin. Is that a fair
Mhm.
statement? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, with a 500 record now, I think it's a lot more about some individuals on the team, and that's not necessarily their fault. That's more from an outside perspective of the media and other different things. But I mean, they've got pieces. I think Collier is definitely talented enough to be a
Yep.
number one overall pick. They've got big guys who can develop, and then obviously Mr. Bronny James Jr. Has talent. It's just, I think, some out of this world expectations are going against him, and like I said, that's not really his fault.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. It just goes to show you that you can have all the talent in the world, but if it's not working together, we've seen that happen in the past. Or if your
Yep.
team is built off of one or two players, and when they're not having a great game, Walker Kessler, Jabari Smith, the one time they didn't have great games was in the tournament, and you fall apart, then you're not necessarily a great team. So, it's two different dichotomies I thought today of, yes, there's lots of talent on Auburn's team, but they play well together. And that's what makes
Mm.
I don't like stepping into hyperbole a lot, but I said on not today's stream, but the past stream, the last game, folks, this Auburn basketball team is a great basketball team. It's not perfect, but I got a good feeling about this one.
I do too.
I'm not saying championship. I'm just saying this is a good basketball team, a great basketball team. So
Yep.
we'll talk a little bit about that. And Angela, I'll let you answer that question in the chat. You can probably figure that out, but yes, she pointed out that the baseball schedule come out. I'm glad. This is why I love our viewers, because they remind me of things I need to add to my list of things for us to discuss, which it'll have to be a smaller topic, but that did come out this week. All right, we
Yeah.
have got to get this show started because we're starting late. You guys are starting to show up, so thank you also for being patient with us and being dedicated to be here, even on a late night, which I'm sure many of you are out of school and all, or kids out of school, so things aren't as hectic. So with that being said, Austin, if you're ready, we're going to get the show started.
Let's do it.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it, you can talk about it through a variety of different lenses, times, places, experiences, things, multiverses, however you'd like to pigeonhole that into it. But at its heart, at its core, the Auburn experience is all about its sports, its culture, and its family. And because it's about the Auburn family, we got to have some Auburn family members here. We've got our viewers and listeners, and of course, here in seat number 1, I'm your host, Kyle, my co-host, Austin, in seat number 2. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Kyle. War Eagle, Merry Christmas. We are
Merry Christmas.
steadily approaching the Christmas holiday. A very special time for most of us, and really excited about what we got going on in the Auburn family surrounding Christmas time and surrounding the end of the year. So we got plenty to talk about, my friend.
Yeah, a little bit of housekeeping right at the start. This is your final show of 2023. We will do a big wrap up of the year that was in our last segment tonight. No show for Christmas Eve, no show for New Year's Eve. We will take a break. There's still plenty of content coming out on E2C Network across all the many platforms. So that doesn't mean check out completely. Just know that you won't see me and Austin together until the turn of the new year, which I'm sure we'll have plenty to discuss. Episode 61, it will probably be more jam-packed than we're going to try to do with this one too.
Oh yeah, episode 61, which I guess will be like January 7th, 6th.
7th, so one of the two.
Yeah, somewhere around. I mean, we'll be heading into 2024, and or as you could say, we're in 23 now. We're going to be in 24. Well, the Chinese New Year has, the year of different animals.
Yeah,
It'll be the year of 24, Kyle, which could be really special to you.
it could be very special to
It
me if
could be
I
the year of the Cadillac.
the year of the Cadillac. I'm not quite sure that the Chinese culture would agree with you putting that as one of the
It's
animals.
probably not.
It's probably not in there, we already went through the whole the year of the tiger thing. But the year of the Cadillac, I don't know that that's going to come around quite
Probably not.
often, if ever. But who knows? Things change, I guess, sometimes. So we'll just wait and see with that. We got a little Auburn potpourri to start off the night, as we normally do, because we're going to try to hit a bunch of these things that have happened this week. I'm actually going to start with this, and this is why we love our live viewers too that watch, because they got to almost dictate the show tonight. So we were reminded, how did I forget this, that the Auburn baseball schedule came out this week. We already had SEC schedule, but they filled out the non-conference. And so now you know when the Tigers are going to be in town throughout the entire season. My advice to you right now. So do y'all remember how basketball used to be, where you could basically show up at tip-off and get in for a decent price? That's over. That's about to be over at baseball too. So if you are a baseball fan and you don't have your season tickets, or you're making your plans already to come, you need to do that. I know Austin's probably going to be there for a few games, especially when Sanford comes to town with his connections over there. I'm excited. Austin, baseball season's right around the corner.
Yeah, it's really funny that you actually just said that. I saw my cousin this weekend who plays for Sanford. We discussed that the schedule had come out, so I've got my calendar marked to see him when he comes to town. But I mean, it's another fun, the usual suspects like Sanford, UAB, and the in-state schools are there, but there's plenty to go around for non-conference and see how those SEC games fall as well. So, I mean, I can't remember all the specifics of which renovations will be done this year. Like,
Right.
it'll be the ones closest to the field, right? I know they've been working hard on that.
Yeah, the backstop, and
Yep.
I believe the club underneath, and I think there is going to be some work along the first base side that will have been done, but not a lot of it. But it's a lot of
Yeah.
that kind of first foundational stuff, and then the next year it'll start coming along with more.
So yeah, plenty of stuff to be able to see at Plainsman Park this year. Some of the biggest renovations in a long time for Plainsman Park, and we've discussed those
Right.
on previous episodes. But it's going to be an exciting year on and off the diamond for Auburn baseball. We don't count Bush Thompson out, Kyle. We will never count Bush
Never.
Thompson's teams out ever.
Ever, ever, ever. So don't count yourself out of the future of this program and this team. You better decide when you're coming, because those seats and those tickets are going to be eaten up, especially when we hit SEC play. Let's talk about another sport in its full swing of its season right now. Basketball, as of our recording this, just completed a whooping of the USC Trojans and the mighty Bronny James and the mighty Collier. I forget his first name. Potential first
Isaiah,
round pick.
yeah.
Isaiah Collier, Rodman's son. Who else was on there? Ellis. What was it? Boogie Ellis. The talent abounds on the USC Trojans, but not the coalescing of a team. And Auburn just welcomed them in, returned the favor to what they did to us in LA last year, and
You're
got
right.
a big win at home, made a statement win. I think we had all hoped maybe USC would be a little bit better record-wise when we played them, so maybe it makes us look a little bit better. Still, though, quite a statement win for the Tigers today at home.
Well, absolutely, and like you said, the talent abounds on this team. They haven't quite figured out how to put it all together and how to utilize that talent the best with a 500 record. Um, but the stars were out in Neville Arena. We had plenty of outside guests this weekend for to see the festivities, and with Bronny James Jr. in town. LeBron did not make his Neville Arena appearance. He was scared, but that's okay. And it was good. I think you look at these past three games for Auburn, and they are clicking. It's an absolute shame they're not ranked.
Right.
No, I know it doesn't matter. You just got to be one of the top 64 once we get to March. However, this team is well deserving over the past 3 games of top 20, top 15, I dare say, ranking, and so, I hope they get rewarded for that tomorrow morning. Um, no doubt, though, I mean, this team is clicking. There is not the, um, 1 or 2 stars, I think, that you would normally have, but this team is talent that is even and is deep and is able to work together, to be special, and it could be someone different every night, but
Right.
this is a fun team and going to be a good team. The way they're going, we still got to hit conference play, but the way they're going, they look like they could have a fun March.
And by the way, did you know that people only show up to Auburn basketball games to see Bronny James? Like, did you hear about that? Like,
Well,
they don't line up for anything else. We haven't been doing that for years.
no, well, I think, and the best thing I saw, and I really apologize to whoever posted it because I'm not going to be able to credit you, but I'm acknowledging this was not my own thought. If we keep saying that Auburn is lining up to see Kentucky or to see Bronny James Jr. or to see Arkansas or because it's Alabama. Could it not just be that maybe they're just lining up because it's Auburn? Like, could what the common denominator here is Auburn.
Right.
And I'm sorry if you are a major news outlet and you have failed to do your research and just think that we're all here to see Bronny James Jr. and his measly single digit points, but we were not. We were here for the Tigers, and it showed with the student section being packed out on winter break after finals. Don't get me started.
But I heard we were only here to see Kentucky. That was what I was told. Not Bronny James. We're only here to see Kentucky. Well, and
There
several
was
other
no
teams.
blue to be seen today.
There was probably one Kentucky fan, and so
I'm sure.
the Kentucky fans in basketball are the Alabama fans in football. They'll just show up,
There's always
but
one.
there's always one. Usually, if you look around close enough, there's at least multiple of them just kind of finding each other, and there's a stench that follows. Anyway, I'm getting too mean now, so let's move on here in our potpourri
It's
section.
the Christmas season, Kyle.
It is
Christmas. Tone it back.
It is Christmas. Good news for the football team. Keontae and Asante, I realized that rhymed in pre-show, are coming back to be part of the team. We are in the midst of the transfer portal, some additions as well. Robert Lewis from Georgia State, I almost said Georgia Tech. We just added from Kansas. See if I can gauge something. Help me, Austin. Help me. Gauge keys like Austin keys. We are double keyed up at this point. But right, I mean, mainly I want to focus on the huge win for this team. Keontae Scott and Eugene Asante coming back to lead that defense with some departures. That's going to be, I don't think people understand the magnitude that is equal to even some gets in the transfer portal.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that to have those two who had real prospects of being drafted and real potential of probably making some money elsewhere in the portal, and don't think that they weren't enticed. It's massive for Auburn's defense. It's massive for their locker room and the culture. You could say it's huge.
No, that's terrible.
That one's pretty good.
That was bad. I'm not gonna let you get away with that one. That was terrible. If I had like a bucket here, I'd vomit into it right now off screen. That was awful.
It's big. It's really big for Auburn because I think that, we knew we would lose Marcus Harris to the draft. We knew we'd lose Nehemiah Pritchett and DJ James, whether they had eligibility or not. We knew that we were losing those guys, and those are leaders in their own right. But to have guys who are choosing to come back and who are playmakers is big. It'll be big for Auburn's defense and to build into next year to have those guys.
And I would argue that as much as we lament and hate some of the aspects and how it's changing our sports, NIL is changing these things. Maybe some of these decisions don't happen. And you see some of these players that maybe have they could go to the draft and probably have some success, but they're waiting around for one more year. Just to kind of relate it back to another sport, I think Janai coming back, it's going to show the value of someone who was maybe draft ready, even in a different sport, coming back because they're being supported by NIL, helping this team out, but also helping themselves out. Maybe we're talking about that with Eugene, with Keontae for the 2025 draft. More than a year from now, but exciting news for the team and more of that coming with recruiting and the transfer portal. Obviously, during our 2-week hiatus, there will be a lot that we'll have to catch up on when we get back together. So we'll be talking about that when the time comes around. Once again, that is Auburn Potpourri. We've got two big topics for you tonight. We are going to talk about that 2024 Auburn football release, talk about the games we're going to be seeing. And then, of course, we're going to round the year out with a 2023 Auburn year in review. All that's coming up next. But first, let me talk to you about something real quick. I want to talk to you about the word energy. How do you get it? Myself as a content creator, you as an audience member, that's got to be a big question for you. Well, I got an answer for you because let's be honest, sometimes you got to find the best source of it out there, especially if you're going to be an Auburn fan. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride and you need energy to get through that. You can get energy through energy shots, some of these big names out there. The bad thing about them is traditionally, some of these are not great for your overall health. And one of the solutions out there, though, I can tell you, has got a good solution for energy, but also for an overall health alternative to that. And that is our friends at Magic Mind. After trying Magic Mind personally, I can attest to the claim that they state that is true of defeating burnout and elevating your mental health. Magic Mind gives you the benefits of all those other energy alternatives out there, such as mental focus and making you more productive, but also having a more prolonged and healthy natural way of accomplishing that. Magic Mind has all natural ingredients, as well as being sugar-free, and those of you with allergies being nut-free for those nut allergies out there. It's also ideal for those diets such as keto, paleo, and vegan diets. I know plenty of you are looking for that healthier energy alternative out there. Be sure to visit magicmind.com/Auburn podcast and use the code Auburn20, that's Auburn20, that will get you 56% off for a subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. If you're not ready to give it a try yet, let me tell you about my family member who deals with ADHD on a daily basis. They said that once they tried that, they got the energy that they needed from Magic Mind without some of those, we'll call them aggravation of some of the symptoms that they deal with. So if you're ready to give it a try now, visit magicmind.com/Auburn podcast with the code Auburn20 for 56% off or 20% off a one-time purchase. Big topic number one tonight. We've been waiting, we've been hoping, wishing upon a star or a Christmas tree for Auburn football schedules for 2024. It is here. It has arrived. I'm excited that we got the news, but as we will detail through our discussion, Austin, I'm going to be honest with you. I got a few issues with it. What's your initial reactions to 2024 before we dive into the details of it?
Should I be positive or negative to start?
You can be whatever you want, sir. It's Christmas. You get to choose. Choose your own adventure.
No October games for Auburn football during their stadium is an atrocity.
It is disgusting.
I thought we would never have this issue again after, 2019?
I think it was 2021 that happened as well. I could be wrong, but I think it was that.
It happened before, and it's happened too frequently, and it was not a good idea then, and it's not a good idea now. And it makes no sense. It just makes zero sense.
Disgusting. Absolutely.
And I'm not even saying it from an Auburn perspective. I'm just saying when you don't have any home games in October, well, then you must be on the road the whole time. And so if you're on the road the whole time then you're at home a lot consecutively at another time. And that's how it worked out with the schedule with 5 straight home games starting the year. Now, look, that's going to be great when we get back because we're going to be missing Auburn football so much. We're all going to remember how great it is, but we're also all going to be sweating our butts off because it's September in Auburn. And it's going to be 5 straight home games of heat. And look, Jordan Hare is Jordan Hare, and I love it more than just about anybody. But my goodness, I was just disappointed that we went through the whole SEC special because with ESPN and SEC Network, everything's a documentary now, and we got to make it 2 hours long just to get through the whole schedule and talk about it and hear about from opinions of people we don't really care about. And so we're going week by week, and they just keep going, and we get 3 weeks in. I'm like, we're still at home. Are we going to go on the road? And there's 4 weeks in. I said, surely not. We can't possibly go another 5th straight game at home to start the year.
Boy, were you wrong.
And boy, was I wrong. And so I don't like it. Like I know that it's cool to start the year at home, but I don't like that many. I think that we all get burnt out by the end of it, and it's like, and we're all sunburnt, toasted red. It's just and then you think about the whole thing with no October games. Yes. October, we talked about it when it was October on this podcast, It is the best time of year for Auburn football. It is crisp. It's not too cold, not too hot. And we just won't have that in 2024, I guess, thanks to the Birmingham powers that be.
Yeah, definitely I think some easy ways you could have fixed the schedule too. So as you can tell, we're not super pleased with the way things laid out. We are thankful because not too long
Sure.
ago, folks, we weren't guaranteed Auburn football for a season.
Sure.
So perspective, of course, but we still want to be honest about some opinions. So let me lay the schedule out for everybody. You've probably seen the graphic by now, but somebody somewhere wants to know specifically what is the schedule. First off, Alabama A&M to kick off the season on August 31st, followed up with a game with Cal here, the return trip for them, September 7th, that next week. The following week for week 3, New Mexico, not New Mexico State,
Oh,
folks.
praise the
Everybody
Lord.
chill. Mexico, not New Mexico State. September 14th, September 21st, the first SEC game with Arkansas at home, and that 5th game at home with Oklahoma as an SEC game. More on that in a second. We finally go on the road to take on Georgia in Athens on the 5th of October. A bye week follows that. Then Missouri on the road, October 19th. Kentucky, October 26th. Vanderbilt back at home on the 2nd, and then another bye week. Then ULM November 16th, A&M November 23rd, and Alabama, the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa to end out the year. So I think the way we could approach this, Austin, we already kind of gave some bad. So maybe let's give some good, and then we can go back to bad because there's a lot of bad with this. 5 straight home games, despite what you just talked about. That's a lot of Auburn in a lot of time. And yes, there's some negative things that come with it, but it doesn't get, there is a certain element of like, we get to do this again, like, and it'll almost kind of ruin it when you don't get to do it again because you'll be so used to going to Auburn. So that's a great thing. If you want, this is almost one of those schedules too that would be great for a first-year head coach because there's 5 straight home games, hopefully 5 straight wins if they're not super difficult opponents. Arkansas and Oklahoma are obviously SEC games, but you got to feel like that sets Hugh Freeze up really well in year 2 for 3 games, especially. He should win at the start, and then we'll see what happens with Arkansas and Oklahoma. But do you feel pretty good about that home stretch?
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, to have the 5 there, you've got, an in-state school that Auburn willingly plays in-state schools, unlike other people. You've got Alabama A&M to start the year, and then you've got the return, the other end of the bargain for the Cal series. And so that'll be a special time. We've talked about with Penn State, and we've talked about with other Power 5 opponents that have come here, and we've gone there. Just different perspective. That will be a SEC ACC game.
I wasn't going to bring it up. You brought it up, not me.
That's another segment, another day for us to be crotchety about. The Atlantic Coast Conference's own Cal Berkeley will come to Auburn, fresh off the Pacific Coast. Anyway, then the third game, like you said, New Mexico. Period. And so you feel really good about those first 3, right? You should if you're Auburn. And then SEC play starts. And, regardless of how Auburn scrambled up some bacon this year in Fayetteville, it's another SEC game. It'll be a big test for both teams to figure out where they are on the conference level. And then you've got Oklahoma coming to Jordan-Hare Stadium as an SEC conference opponent. That'll be Oklahoma's first SEC road game of their SEC life.
Welcome to the SEC, baby.
Welcome. And so I think that is one of the good parts about this 5-game stretch is we'll get through all 5 and we'll all be like, oh my gosh, that was exhausting. But we'll all still be amped for that 5th one. It won't be like we'll get through 4 and be like, oh, we just got to get through one more. It'll be we're all pretty pumped about Oklahoma coming because of just the programs and the newness of it all. So it's a good 5-game stretch for Auburn. It's got its mixture of good ease into the season and challenges. So I'm excited overall about it.
Yeah, you really, if you look at the way it progresses, those first 5 games, it's kind of a nice build, whether you're talking about getting your team ready for maybe your toughest challenge, which, just on paper right now looks like Oklahoma in that stretch. And then as a fan, the build up to that as well. Obviously, in a year that we have to go to Georgia and to Tuscaloosa is just awful. But it has to happen until the powers that be decide they're not going to be stupid and do things.
Could have been fixed.
It could have been fixed this year to not have 2 bye weeks too. Just do it a week later, and we don't have to. I'm sorry. Is that an unfair gripe? I hate bye weeks, to be honest with you.
No, yeah. I mean, I think I get wanting to start with everyone else and wanting to start with
We're the
rest of
SEC.
the
Let's
college
do it
football
different.
world, but we could do whatever we want. I'm sure the coaching staffs don't mind 2 bye weeks.
That's true.
I think there's a on the other hand, there's momentum and things like that. But also if you're banged up, that other one probably sounds pretty good. But
Right.
I'm with you. It's going to be very weird. I hate bye weeks. I hate them, and we're going to have 2 of them.
Yeah,
but
that's
I
my
get
other
it.
gripe. And if I could make a suggestion, they could have probably made this schedule instantly better if they had taken either Missouri or Kentucky and swapped it with Arkansas and kept them home and away.
Totally.
And then you have 3-game home stretch, an away game. Well, I'm fine starting our first SEC game away. That's a tough challenge too.
Sure.
Beating Missouri right now, who's on the rise, at least this year, that's not going to be easy. Kentucky has been pretty good, and they managed to keep their head coach, Mark Stoops. So he's made them relevant to the equation. These are not easy SEC games. They're the easier of a lot of other ones, but I'm fine switching those around. And then you've got Vanderbilt, Lamo, and Texas A&M. And I mean, this is maybe the final piece that I want to put there. I'm actually fine with Texas A&M being at the end of the schedule because it gives us something to look forward to. How many times have senior day been New Mexico State? And thankfully it wasn't this year. It was the Iron Bowl, but some rinky-dink game that you're supposed to win. And yes, people show up for the families and stuff like that, but nobody gets super excited about that game. And chances are it's going to be a midday game or an early game. Texas A&M, even as bad as they've been, you maybe have a shot of that becoming a night game, especially with Auburn's atmosphere, to end out your season in Jordan-Hare. So to me, that's probably the one thing about this that I'm like, all right, I'm fine with that, even if it butts up with the Iron Bowl.
I agree. I'm good with it. I think this happened a few years ago, and I think it ended up being A&M for us then too, where it was instead of a cupcake game before the Iron Bowl. I guess that would have been 2020, maybe when the whole year was wet.
Yeah.
But and from everything you said with senior day, yes, 100%, we're able to kind of give them a final SEC game that lives up to the atmosphere on these even years. But also, and I'm not saying this was the occasion this year, but how many times do we kind of play lackadaisical in a cupcake before the Iron Bowl and kind of keep the momentum going? So I'm okay with it. It keeps you focused, keeps you having fun, and all the good things about keeping a conference opponent late in the year. And let's be honest, everyone loves that last weekend before rivalry week when everybody's playing the cupcakes is not as fun for the viewing audience. So
right.
I'm not surprised that it turned out this way.
Yeah, that's a good fix right there. And so there's a lot of mixture of stuff here that you cannot like, but there's some things that work as well. Here's the reality, folks. It's probably all changing again in a year's time.
Yep.
So don't get used to it. Saddle up for now. It's going to be a hot first 5 games. And here's my final request for the Auburn officials out there. I know y'all are all looking, first of all, at that New Mexico State game for homecoming. Can we please just consider this one time, even though it's going to butt right up with senior day for what's on Lamo, if that's when they decide to do it, or Texas A&M, let's do homecoming on Vanderbilt. Let's return the favor to them from last year. It'll actually feel like homecoming fall weather. Please, let's do that then. That is my final request and opinion about the 2024 schedule. Our final topic tonight. It's the end of a year, sir. 2023.
I wish I had my.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was
okay,
like, what is this? What is this instrument he's doing on there? The year 2023, while you're viewing or watching this, most likely is not yet done. But by the time we get together as a podcast, the Auburn Experience podcast, Austin and myself, will be over. We'll be in 2024. So hello to our future selves. What we wanted to do was spend some time looking back at 2023, all the amazing Auburn things that happened. A lot of sports, but other things mixed into that we just want to bring your attention to. So as you're watching, as you're listening to this live or on the replay or the audio podcast, you may be screaming to yourself, y'all forgot about this. Chances are we forgot about this. So before I give you the list of things that I compiled, and it's a long one, how was 2023 for Auburn in your mind, Austin? Was it a down year? Was it a, kind of just a flat year? Was it a up year? What do you think? Try to look at it holistically, not just, certain aspects.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Auburn way, it's going to be highs and lows, right? We're going to have
Right.
lots of ups and downs. I think you can say that for sports. I think you can say that for administration with different people coming in, different people leaving. You can say that with exposure. There's been plenty of stuff surrounding Auburn that has had highs and lows. I think sports is for sure an easy way to look at that. You look at baseball success, basketball kind of underwhelming. You look at a brand new era of the Hugh Freeze and tenure. Overall, there's been plenty to talk about with Auburn, highs and lows. Plenty to remind us why we still love it.
Yep.
Plenty to remind us why we're so invested. But overall, it's cliche, but what a great year to be an Auburn Tiger, a great time to be an Auburn Tiger, and plenty to make you proud of our school.
Yep, I agree. And this is a great segment and example of why we stress the Auburn experience, not the Auburn football experience, not the Auburn basketball,
Yes.
the Auburn experience. And it goes beyond sports too. So I've compiled a list of things that I want to bring to your attention, and then we'll just kind of talk through a few of them. We're not going to have time to spend on all of them. So please, if your topic is not spent a ton of time on, I apologize.
We
But
would be here till 2025.
Probably true, because we could spend a lot of time rehashing some of these things that we've talked about on previous episodes. So if there's something you say, well, y'all didn't spend enough time talking about that, chances are there's a previous episode. We've covered it. So go check that out as well. All right, here we go. Saddle up. Equestrian wins their 5th SEC championship in a row. Suni Lee and Darian Goborn end their illustrious careers as Auburn gymnasts. Auburn baseball hosts their 2nd NCAA regional in a row. Megan Schofield finishes 1st in the U.S. Amateur, winning that title, representing Auburn for the first time. J.M. Butler on the men's side went to the semifinals, nearly did it too. As Austin brought up, the Hugh Freeze era begins officially at Auburn. The Tumors trees became able to be rolled again. The Target opened downtown. The Stacks, which we've raved about, the breakfast and brunch restaurant, opened downtown. In terms of a spiritual matter, there was a revival that took place on campus after a great event. Volleyball hit 2 years in a row, making it to the tournament. Football game enhancements for this past season, the Auburn University marching band Metallica performance, partnering with SeatGeek for tickets now, which I actually think is a great thing now that I've used it. Baseball renovations began on Plainsman Park. The Frank Thomas statue went in. Big Cat Weekend. The Bachelorette with Charity Lawson and Caleb Kim as a contestant. The Eagle flight at baseball for the first time. The Eagles games having our Eagle there. Bucky's opened. Jason Campbell replaced Stan White as the color commentator alongside Andy Burcham. And I'm going to start us off with this one in a very shameless plug for you, sir. The greatest Auburn event of this year. Austin became a father to 2 beautiful boys and future Auburn linebackers, whatever he wants them to, whatever they decide they want to be, but Austin will push them a direction or something. So just a shameless plug for you, the great year that was for you.
Yes. I mean, personally, certainly, becoming a dad to Brooks and Barrett was the highlight of our year, and been very special, especially, to tie it into Auburn, getting to take them on campus, getting to take them to some games, getting to have them experience some small things in their first few months of why we love Auburn has been special in 2023. So yes, thank you for saying that.
You kept it together. I thought I was going to get you.
It's been a week of sometimes thinking about Christmas and the New Year that I have not kept it together. So you're
Dadgummit.
just catching me at a bad time.
Dadgummit. I almost got him. That was my goal to get him with that one tonight. Well, I'll try again some other way. All right. So I just gave you a list. Take your
Yeah,
pick, Austin. What sticks out to you first, other than the
shoot.
cheer children?
I mean, there's a lot of good ones on here. I think when we look at the beginning of the calendar year, um, we started off kind of and as well, not the beginning of the year, but toward the beginning of the year, talking about Butch Thompson and this baseball program.
Mm-hmm.
They had an incredibly exciting, last month to the season,
Yep.
month and a half the run they went on. Really unfortunate way to end it, and really kind of abrupt ending in the regional. But just reminded us what those Auburn baseball teams are capable of and what they can do. What a time and exciting time it was for the Auburn family to kind of rally around them. And then, this might shock a lot of our listeners and a lot of our viewers because we forgot about this incident and we didn't even discuss it. But
Mm.
the tumors trees did come back, despite our complete absent-mindedness of discussing it on this show.
Mm.
I think we could say, and we did say the week after, it was very, very special. And to have the trees back means so much more than just being
Right.
able to roll after football games and roll after different Auburn events. To have them back is way more about the Auburn experience and Auburn culture than many can understand, especially outside of the Auburn family. So, I mean, to have them back in full force,
Yeah.
is one of the best highlights of the Auburn year for me. Even if we did forget it, for a slight lapse of memory.
It might have been the second most embarrassing thing for us on this channel. Third, well, so you dropping their laptop live on, actually that was before the
That was
recording, but
post show.
post
That was
show, but I
post
put it
show.
out. I put it out there for everybody
It
because it was
did go
hilarious.
out there.
That us, jinxing the volleyball team on their run that they were on a season
Yeah,
ago,
that
and
was
then
early on.
us completely just blanking on what was the biggest topic that week, and the tumors
Yeah,
trees being back. Yeah, everything you said. I mean, if you wanted to pick one thing this year that was probably your best story, it was that, and what tumors means. It's frankly what this show is about, because
right.
this is, what I don't recite verbatim the speech that David Housel gave at the last roll of the original Tumors Corner Street, but it's the spirit of it is there. When we talk about living the whole of the Auburn experience. Yes, it's a lot about sports there. We celebrate graduations, engagements. I passed my exams, whatever, the Auburn experience, whatever it is celebrated there. So that being back obviously should and does in most people's minds take center stage. I'm going to do something a little bit fun and something we just talk about probably way too much for people here on the show. The Buc-ee's opened up in Auburn.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean,
I opened it up with everybody else that was there for a very chilly April morning. And boy, it is going strong. And I think Auburn Buc-ee's is probably, I wish I could see like a ranking on the Buc-ee's, like how busy it is and how much
yeah.
money here's the shame, Austin. I tried and made a point that I was going to go to Buc-ee's on a game day, an actual game day, just to see what was going on there. And I never made it over there. So,
Mm.
but I can imagine how busy it was on game days. I know it doesn't really mean that much in the Auburn culture, but Buc-ee's is part of Auburn now. So having that
It
here
is.
it's something at least.
Oh, it absolutely is, and it has definitely changed the Auburn economic growth for one, but also just the way people enter Auburn. That it is the pearly gates for some coming from the Montgomery area on I-85. And it is the welcome to Auburn sign for many now. So it's a welcome addition, and it has been. I don't think they're hurting hardly at all over there.
No, I can tell you that for a fact because I'm supplying them with a lot of revenue myself, even just passing through these days. And I know the rest of my family is too. I'll do something football related, but we talk about the freeze there, the beginning of it, what we've been through so much in this show. It'd be just rehashing a lot of that. But what I want to bring attention to is with the freeze era came a lot of changes and new staff members coming in, even outside of coaches and stuff for the athletic department. A new athletic director who hadn't even been here a year yet, even though he was hired in a new year. But new ideas, new fresh opportunities came, and some of them, probably were winners for some, and some weren't, in terms of game day enhancements, and whether that's pyrotechnics, seats in certain parts that were added to increase the capacity to 88,000 officially in Jordan-Hare Stadium, or whether it's partnering with SeatGeek, which I can just tell you from personal experience as a season ticket holder for this past year, selling a ticket on that is so easy. It's so easy. I didn't want to sell a ticket. I had to, but I mean, I was amazed by it. So to me, I'm going to leave some people out, but Rhett Hobart and his team and everybody else that is there for the fan experience side of things, adding concession stands, quick service, it just felt like, yeah, there was a lot of stuff thrown out there and tried, and maybe some of it was more successful than the others, but I was just impressed with how well done so much of the amount that they did was done this year.
Well, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it really all culminated when Auburn hosted that NCAA baseball regional. It was the first time that Rhett and that staff had been able to kind of put some things into play, and us getting a little taste of what was to come on a full scale with football. And it's going to sound like I'm bashing previous administrations, and I don't even know these individuals. I'm not saying that they weren't doing a good job, but it does feel like these kind of things brought Auburn fan experience kind of to the modern day level, and moved them into the kind of setting that we're in now with these self-service things and quick serve, and moved us up into where we need to be in order to just have the fan experience that's caught up with the times. And so that's a small part of the Auburn year, but a big part, and has definitely just made things a whole lot easier. I think about, in a similar way, we're all on our phones. I know you are on your phone during football games a lot, recording things. The Wi-Fi and the internet inside the stadium this year,
Yeah.
I felt was flawless, and that's not always been the case. So small things like that, just I feel really good about. It feels silly to say because of better Wi-Fi. I feel good about this administration's attention to detail with certain things. But when you think about how, this John Cohen and his team has said, we want to update the scoreboard, or we want to make significant upgrades to Jordan-Hare Stadium. The fact that there's little or small details being paid so much attention to, like just how we get our concession food, makes me feel good about how big facility enhancements and upgrades will go as well. So it's been a great year for this administration and the athletic department as a whole, and just campus. I can't think of some specifics, but we've seen upgrades across campus with different buildings and different landscaping and things like that. So
yeah, the School of Education is slowly geting done with tearing down all those. It's very slow. It's going to be a while. We'll probably be talking about that in 2026. There's a lot going on in Auburn right now, and it is not done anytime soon. Very briefly, is there one more thing that comes to mind, whether it's from that list I gave you or not, that you just like to call attention to, sport or otherwise, for 2023, just kind of as a final, this is what sticks out to me?
I think you mentioned it on the list, and it's sports related, but I don't necessarily want to talk about their athletic careers. But I think Suni Lee leaving Auburn, and in a short time, even though it felt, I mean, she was here for 2 seasons. In a short time, her impact in putting Auburn on a global level was massive, and will continue to do so as she competes in Paris for the next Olympics and things like that. That's probably not finalized, but I'm fully expecting her to get there. And Auburn continuing to be associated with Suni, and her associating herself with Auburn. I don't think it's too hyperbolic. That's probably not the right word. Hyperbolic. Sure, I was close. To put her in such a high position of furthering the Auburn family and furthering the Auburn culture to people that weren't as familiar with it before. And so I think that her legacy and her future competition will be a fun thing for Auburn people to kind of grasp and hold on to in a market and in an area that is not usual. Like, we've all gotten used to seeing Auburn basketball players in the NBA, and we've all been known who's all the Auburn alumni playing in the NFL, or who's made it to the major leagues. But for Auburn to be on a global scale in the Olympics with a sport like gymnastics, and so many really hold on to it tight, it makes us proud. It makes us
Yep.
proud to see Auburn on that level, and so I think she has a lot to credit for that, and it's been fun to kind of see that, even though she's gone. And I think we've had this discussion in the past with former athletes. She wasn't just using Auburn; she became fully part of the Auburn family, and that's been really fun.
And it burns our rivals every time they see
Absolutely.
someone, a former athlete, deciding that this wasn't just a one-off for me. This is a family, and we come
Yeah.
back and be a part of it. Final note for me from 2023, as so many things I could talk about. And I was kind of bouncing back and forth, but I'm just going to call attention to the Frank Thomas statue. You know, we talk about Bo, we talk about Barkley, we talk about Camden, we talk about Cadillac, we talk about, just Suni Lee now, Darian Goborn. We talk about all these, monsters in their different sports, but Frank had yet to be officially enshrined here. And I think that being part of that, I wasn't part of the ceremony, but I got to cover it, be there, and and film it and be part of the unveiling, even on a rainy, stormy day, was such a special Auburn moment. And you could see in his eyes how much that meant to him. And so we go back to the story that we always talk, that you just mentioned. This isn't just somebody saying I picked Auburn and that's why I associate them. I picked Auburn because of the way we treat each other as family. So happy to have that here. Happy to finally enshrine him. And it's the first of many renovations to come to Plainsman Park, and making that facility one of a kind. Well, whether it was about baseball, sports, food at Auburn, experiences outside of Auburn, the city or the town, 2023, it was a busy one. And I'm sure when we do this again in a year's time, we'll have plenty more to talk about. That's going to do it for episode 60 and the 2023 podcast episode list. Thank you all for tuning in this year. We'll see you in 2 weeks. On the way out, check in with me at on X, I guess. I'm getting used to saying that, at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you, sir?
What a terrible part of 2023, by the
That's
way. If
fine.
we
Yes.
can just go ahead and say that. One of my least favorite. On Twitter, you can find me at Austin G. Scott. If you just so desire to find me on Instagram, I'm there too. But Kyle, it's been a blast, my friend. Looking forward to plenty of War Eagle and Auburn family moments in 2024 with you.
I am as well, sir. Until then, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, that's a wrap, folks. Late one. Thank you guys for your patience sticking with us and hanging out with us this evening. Reminder, we will be back together in this capacity on a Sunday evening in 2 weeks, off for the holidays. Austin, you have any final thoughts? The floor is yours. If not, you are free to go.
I don't think so. We'll have plenty to talk about, and I'm sure we'll have much to discuss about Ryan Williams finally flipping to Auburn. So by then, so I'm excited about it.
We'll see. We shall see. I know somebody asked about it. We'll talk about it here with them before I head out. So thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, War Eagle. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. All right, folks. So that is now us switching into, as I bring this up over here. I pushed the wrong button there for that comment. This is the part of the show where it switches into, for the next few minutes, we can do it for about 10 or so. Comments, questions, Q&A, whatever you want to discuss is up for grabs. I'll go back and look at some of the commentary while we're recording. I hope we talked about something that you found of value there. But as a reminder, we did this on the earlier live stream today, but I want to remind you of the upcoming planned content for this week. There's plenty more content, even in these next 2 weeks, that's going to be coming out. Don't miss it. In fact, you'll probably have a transfer portal video sometime tomorrow for their latest pickup to discuss that one and give you all the information that you need to know about that. But here is our planned content for the week. Next up, you need to anticipate on Wednesday afternoon. Don't know the time exactly yet, but a reaction live stream for 2024 early signing day, followed later that evening with our live call-in show. Call in and we'll talk about anything, kind of like what we're doing here for the last part of this show. And then a reaction stream to Auburn versus ASU, men's basketball game, right before Christmas gets started. So there's a lot to look forward to. I'm assuming there's going to be some more commitments and pickups too. So content abounds for you here at YouTube, the Tiki-Takis, Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Reels, podcasts. It's everywhere. Got no time. So let me know what is on your mind. Talk about for the next few minutes here. And we'll hit some of those. Yes, thank you, Angela, for watching tonight and sticking with us. I know it was a late one. So many of you as well. I didn't get a chance to watch the gymnastics preview, although I was trying to keep up a little bit on the phone what was happening as much as I could with what I had going on that evening. And I saw kind of the same kind of commentary, whether it was beat writers or the question is who is going to fill the roles of Darian and Suni and others as well that have gone, but those were the superstars of the team in terms of, I think it was floor and bars, which are the biggest concerns. Floor was Darian's, bars was Suni's, expertise, it seemed, at least in results alone. So what's going to happen? Who's going to take over those roles? But you still got a lot of very familiar faces. Sophia Grow, Cassie Stevens, Gabby McLaughlin, so many people that are still here, and some new superstars coming in. So don't sleep on gymnastics just because Suni and Darian have moved off to, we won't say greener pastures, but other things. Does the Olympic swim team still train in Auburn? I know they trained there before. I don't know. That's a good question, Corey. I'll try to figure that out and get back to you on that. It's a good enough facility for them to. So it would not surprise me. Corey also made the suggestion with the way that Auburn's grown that we'll have a monorail in the near future. Doubt it, but I would love that. It's not quite the loveliest little village on the plains. It's not quite big enough for a monorail just yet. Still has got to get rid of its trains. Hudson asked this earlier, and I don't know if he's here anymore because it was way long ago. Obviously, we're all sitting here waiting for what we think is coming, and that is another flip from Alabama, Ryan Williams to be part of this Freeze 5 of Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, if everybody stays committed, Bryce Kane. Oh, look at that. The little things are coming up. I don't know what I did. I guess it was peace or something. And Malcolm Simmons, and then Ryan Williams would make the final piece of the Freeze 5. Look, folks, my advice to you is I always say, don't get overly invested in the decisions of 18-year-olds, but you do you. I'm excited if it happens. If it doesn't, I trust the coaches and we'll see what we can do with what we have. A lot of people got on the, I know, wasn't that funny? The balloons. I don't know why it happened. In fact, I thought I found the setting to turn that off and thought I turned it off, but let's see if it does it. No. Hey, it worked. That was weird. The things that happen on this show, I just don't know. The KJ Bolden, was one that a lot of people felt like was going to happen. The flip, LJ McCray from Florida State, two of those Florida State ones are going to flip to Auburn, and then that does not look like it's going to happen now. I get the excitement, but at the same time, to me, I just, I try and I can't get overly invested until they're actually signed on the dotted line, and they're not even guaranteed to be here for a long time because, frankly, we're seeing a lot of players that we made videos about and that came in the transfer portal or recruiting last year already gone after 1 year to other Steven Sings, Wilkie Denard. I think I'm blanking on a few others, but yeah, they're already gone. I did hear that Malcolm Simmons his stock has raised after that All-Star game, which I would hope so, because Perry Thompson, Cam Coleman, and then if Ryan Williams would occur, they get the headlines, but don't sleep on the other two. Don't sleep on it. It'll be exciting to see if we get them. The train, yes. I think the horn gets longer every time I'm here. It's funny you mentioned that, Angela. So I used to live above the Auburn Baptist Campus Ministries. I was a building attendant, I guess is what the role. I lived there and got to work as taking care of the building. The train was very close to that building, and I would hear it even through cinder block walls every morning, every night, whenever it came rolling through. So I can hear it right now, and I'm hundreds of miles away. Not hundreds, a couple hundred miles away from Auburn right now. Not even. Just over 100. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That sound is burned into my memory as an Auburn person. Maybe a monorail would not be such a bad idea, Corey, because that would alleviate some of that stuff. How do I feel about Gage Keys? I have not dug into him yet. Planning on doing maybe a little bit of that tonight to get prep work done for that video that I promised you guys, and give you some opinions and some facts about him then. All right, final questions, comments, derogatory rebuttals. Get them in now. If you have not, please take 2 seconds right now, all together, click the like button. Wherever you are watching Facebook, it's a humongous help. That is the biggest thing that you can do, is smash the like button. Do that right now if you haven't done that. And it's much appreciated. And we appreciate you guys being here and hanging out with us. As a final note, if you're ever interested in helping us or helping support E2C Network, especially on YouTube, check out the links below. A big way you could do that is by joining the Conquer Club. It's a monthly subscription where you get to be part of a little special community, have certain perks, and you can help give us monthly support to continue to do what we do here. We are, as you've heard, going to have a sponsor on more regularly with some of our podcast episodes. You'll be hearing from them more. And so some of you have chosen to already support them, which is why they've chose to stick on for a little bit longer with us, which we are very thankful for. You guys for supporting them and thus supporting us, but you can do that as well. So the links in the description for our sponsor for these podcast episodes. 2023 highlight, whoop, it moved ahead of me. Seeing Auburn take over Berkeley. I bet that was cool. And see, if I had been able to see that myself, that would have been really cool. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you so much. Kyle, will most of the recruits be signed by 5 Wednesday? Good question, Corey. That's why I haven't committed to a time yet. That's kind of the time that I thought I would go live. It really depends on when these guys sign and they get their stuff faxed in. I mean, sometimes press conferences have been delayed because they're taking forever to bring them in because certain shenanigans were happening. Cyrus Kwanjo. That is the one that broke me from following recruiting it as heavily as I used to. So my assumption, I'm kind of assuming now I'm going to go live around 6, but I will go earlier because normally what happens is all day they'll be getting them in, making a big deal about the different recruits. And then they'll say Hugh Freeze, they'll put out a press release. Hugh Freeze is meeting with the media at 4. Maybe they'll go ahead and plan it no matter what, or 5 or whatever. And so as soon as we get a chance to hear his perspectives, digest them, we'll jump into a reaction stream about all that. So yes. All right, folks. Thank you so much for being here, being part of our little family within the Auburn family. You are the best little family within the Auburn family. Just because Sunday nights are done for the next 2 weeks as we take a holiday break doesn't mean you need to tune out. In fact, you need to tune in. Tell a friend to be part of this best little family within the Auburn family. Till I talk to you again, you all have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Till then, War Eagle.